So here we are with another box office weekend at a close and some disappointing results for some films and some, well, expected results for others. And it's strange to see another R-rated film staying on top, but we've got to talk about everything else that's going on and the fact that maybe Nobody 2 wasn't the best bet for a theatrical release. Let's talk about it. Here we go. Now, before we get started, just a real quick reminder, we are trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. That's right, Culturians, you're a big part of the success of this channel, so double check you're still subscribed to it. And if you're not subscribed, take this opportunity to take advantage of the free subscription to the channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss anything. I do dozens of pieces of content a week in addition to multiple live streams. So take advantage of all the great things we have to offer here each and every day and just stay subscribed. Okay, now let's start first with Deadline, where we usually look at the box office in terms of the domestic performance, and that's what Deadline kind of specializes in, at least Anthony does. Now, Nancy will give us the international numbers, but this is what I like to do, is take a look at the $25 million in its second weekend that Weapons earned. Now, Nobody 2 got stuck around $9 million, just shy of 10 at least, and that's not good. That's a terrible, terrible opening for an effort for a sequel that seemed to have been guaranteed. Now, per the Sunday write-through, summer is now in its August sleep, with the overall weekend for all titles falling under $100 million. And this is a complete disaster for exhibitors, but we'll return to that at the end of the video. This is the second time this season that this has happened with a $93 million number for all exhibitors. The last time that happened in 2025 was the second weekend of summer, May 9 to 11, when all movies grossed just over $84 million, according to Box Office Mojo. While summer at $3.4 billion remains ahead of last year's heat wave by 2%, we mentioned last weekend we're unlikely to cross the $4 billion mark, and now we can almost guarantee it. In fact, I thought this was quite the long shot, as some of the more successful predictors in this sphere had decided we were somehow going to cross it. I think that was Paul de Garibaldian, or however you say his name. Paul, I'm very sorry. I respect you very much, but we didn't get there. Warner Brothers moved Weapons into late summer purposefully, because it wasn't going to have a lot of competition, and it was kind of, already going to be the dominant horror property of this period. It also proved to have a strong hold, only losing 43% in the second frame, and again, that $25 million says an awful lot. Weapons isn't having the dips of Get Out or Sinners in the second weekend, and anytime a horror movie has a hold that's better than 50%, it's remarkable. And with this, I agree. You don't usually get that kind of hold from a horror film, let alone any film these days. Weapons has the premium large format and IMAX still in play, and those are grossing at $1.8 million stateside for $10.5 million running Cume in the second weekend. Global for Weapons, which only cost New Line $38 million, stands at $148.8 million. In other words, we're already there as far as profitability is concerned. Not only that, this is just going to be gravy for probably the next 2 or 3 weeks as it rounds out its theatrical run. Freakier Friday is going to be coming in second this weekend at $14.5 million with a 49% drop. So about a 50% or 51% hold. And that's higher than I anticipated. But then again, it didn't really have a monstrous weekend last weekend, losing to a horror film for the second weekend in a row. And Universal's Bob Odenkirk film, Nobody 2, despite a solid exit score of B+, well, it's not exactly solid, but it's not terrible, and 62% of the audience would definitely recommend, I would have expected much, much bigger performance here. And yet, with 9.25 million opening after a 3.8 million Friday, which was terrible, the movie was cheap. It only cost about 25 million before P&A spend, and as Anthony notes, this seems more like a Lionsgate effort than Universal. But I guess the real fear here is more of the fact that this didn't expand much on the original film as far as an opening goes, adding just a little over $3 million from the previous film. And to demonstrate just how worthless social media agnostication is, Nobody 2 on social media with Relish Mix was absolutely being raved about. With its over 190 million pushes, it was 59% above action drama genre norms across TikTok, Facebook, X, YouTube, and Instagram, meaning it was 53% higher than the first film's interest over social media, which means Relish Mix is as effective or as garbage as Parrot Analytics is. When you look at the numbers directly, and we'll go to, of course, the numbers in a moment, you see Weapons, Freakier Friday, and Nobody 2, all in 1, 2, 3. And you know what? That's good. The top 3 films stayed in the top 3 positions, although I still will never understand the interest in Freakier Friday. It's not really aimed at anybody anymore. But alas, Fantastic Four hangs in there, falling only another 40-some% to a disappointing 8.8 million weekend. This film is dying, and quickly, and is the flop we told you it was going to be. Because of that 43% drop for Weapons, I still imagine it's got a lot of heart left in it, and a lot of solid performance left to go. Meaning this thing could be well in front of 200 million by this time next week, and probably in the hunt to chase down a solid third in the horror genre for the year. And because of my disdain for all things Marvel these days, I took the time to highlight this particular paragraph because I think Variety says it for everyone. Another Disney film, the Marvel superhero adventure, The Fantastic Four: First Steps, plunged to the 4th spot with 8.8 million in its 4th weekend of release after a promising $117 million bow, which was, of course, a number that they had to drop from the estimated to the actual, after saying it was equal to Superman when it fell $8 million short. Has been quickly losing steam at the box office with ticket sales at 247 million in North America and a total of 468.7 million worldwide. One of the big problems here is that the majority of the earnings are coming out of the States, and international audiences are widely rejecting this for a number of reasons. The returns for this film are above those of the years prior Marvel entries, with Captain Anti-America and Thunderbolts both falling well below the $500 million mark. In fact, Thunderbolts below $400 million is demonstrating that after the global crisis, Marvel never seemed to be able to recover, and there's reasons for that. And finally, our look at the numbers, as you see here. Weapons with a solid 25 million and a small drop, bringing the American total to $89 million. You've got Freakier Friday at 14.5 million with about a 50% drop to 54.7 million, and Nobody 2 with 9.2 million, basically in its first weekend and starting out in 3rd place. I really hope people find this movie because I found it to be good, despite some of my friends not agreeing with me. And at current, as I'm recording this video, we only have 21 films represented here at 85.5 million. And we, for some reason, don't seem to have the film that limited release for Sydney Sweeney. Wonder if there's a reason why they're keeping it behind lock and key to the last minute. It was reported to have not done very well at around 500,000. But perhaps that was because it was in limited release. I know this much. Disney has to be crying in their beer as Elio, still in theaters for some reason, 70 as a matter of fact, is somehow sitting at a meager $72.8 million. Could you imagine losing a couple of $100 million, if not $300 million, on an animated film? What's wrong with you, Disney? Anyway, that's today's box office update, and the performance over the weekend leaves you a little in chagrin, I would imagine. Left me a little bummed out as well, so I don't know if we're going to be able to recover until we get somewhere near the holidays. Let me know if you've seen any of the films represented here in this weekend's box office and what you think of them. And if you have any recommendations for films in the future that I should see, leave those in the comment section below as well. As always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya! Hopefully at the movies.